myself. I'm Jim Kennedy. I'm with 2020 Property Inspections. I've worked with some of you before in the past. We've been in business for over 25 years. We are actually a certified pest control company as well as a home inspection company. So we provide our own termite inspections. But I actually can get into the slideshow, talk about things about us easily enough. But today's training is going to be about new construction. We're doing a lot more new construction inspections these days, as I'm sure that you probably have some interest in getting more involved in it if you haven't already. With the inventory of houses being reduced over a period of time, and with the interest rates the way they are, sometimes the builder is a good avenue to go through. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, does that look right, Ryan?
No, you started an infinity mirror. You've got to click one of the other ones. You've clicked the same screen that you're on, so it started this over and over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that looks weird.
Yeah. It's just pick one of the other screens when you hit share screen.
Okay. Go back off here.
Yeah, present something else. There you go. And then pick whichever one of those you want.
Okay.
Not that one. And then share. There you go.
Okay. See if I can get this.
There should be a slideshow button.
Let me try switching these. All right, how about now?
It's not up yet.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Great. Sorry about that. It's a new program for me. We use Zoom and Teams, but now I know. All right, so we're 2020 Property Inspections. This is a scan right here now. If you guys want to use your cell phone, take a picture of this. This will give you our contact information. They'll be readily accessible for you, and then we're going to actually send you some things that'll allow you to put a phone app onto your phone. But we can come across this again later on after the presentation. All right, so as I said, we are a pest control company as well, so we do perform our own termite inspections. We provide a $175 gift towards the buyer, towards any kind of termite preventative or treatment plan, as well as $75 towards a pest control contract that goes to every single one of our buyers. We're celebrating it's now our 27th year. We have the best warranty program that's offered nationally, with a 90-day termite protection plan, 5-year roof warranty, and a 90-day home inspection guarantee, as well as some mold and sewer drain warranties as well. Our location, you can see we cover anywhere from Tampa out to Titusville, up to St. Augustine, Ocala, Point Sienna, Winter Haven, all down that area as well. We'll go further if needed. We have gone to West Palm and to Sarasota for some clients of ours that don't want to use anybody else. So we have multiple inspectors, so we have that affordability to do that. All right, so I won't go through all this. This is just a list of all the inspections that we do. Our tagline now is one call tackles it all. Some new things that we've added in. We are doing pressure tests with our pool inspections now, so we're checking to see if there's any leaks underlying. We've always been doing the mold, air, water, lead, and asbestos, those environmental inspections. Your VA loans are asking for that water testing. We provide that, as well as their termite inspection that they're requesting. Sewer scope inspections, we are kind of leading into a little bit of what the presentation is going to be about. We were tapped by a builder in Orlando last year to provide 300 sewer scope inspections for them on random buildings. And in doing that, we found that there was an issue with almost 40% of those sewer drains on those new constructions. So thus, they January 1st came this year, and we're going to be doing a sewer drain inspection on every single home that they sell this year, which is somewhere around 1,300 homes. So we'll be doing 1,300 sewer scope inspections for a well-known builder in Orlando to check for these issues in sewer drains. We'll get a little bit more into those as we go. Drone inspections, and we've always been a company that's wanted to walk on the roof, but we do have some, a lot of tile roofs that have been around for a while that are easy to crack, not really conducive to walk along, and not really getting a good feeling for what's underneath by just walking on those. We prefer to walk on the 3-tab and the architectural shingles. That way we can get an idea of what's going on underneath, even around the soffit areas where you can't check from the attic. Then, of course, the 4-phase new construction inspections, which is what we're going to go over today. Okay, this is a phone app that we offer for you. You can order an inspection 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can look and check our schedule. You can go ahead and reserve it for your buyer to give us a call at that time, however you want to handle it. And then what's cool about this app is that you can go back and look at your reports for up to 5 years, ago. And of course, we do have Super E-Key for all of our inspectors. Digital Home Binder, we'll get into this later on if we have time, but it's basically a marketing program that we provide for every one of your realtors. Every one of your buyer has an opportunity to get into this program. It keeps a record of everything that they ever do with the home, and they get maintenance reminders. They have other information that they can store in there, like their paint chips, their insurance photos, their vendor information, so much more. There's actually a 400-page maintenance manual that comes along with it. But the cool thing is whenever they get a notification from Digital Home Binder, there's going to be your picture that you've put into that phone app along with your contact information. And that's going to be ongoing for the lifetime that they own that home. They'll continue to receive those emails and always have your contact information on hand. And just a couple quick perks. At the end of this year, we are providing a drawing for a Caribbean cruise for one lucky buyer. It's on the Icon of the Seas. This is a photo of their first initial cruise. It's worth $4,000. So if you have a hard time, if maybe your buyer is on the on the line or on the fence on which way he wants to go to, what realtor, what have you, you can always state, hey, is that other realtor from that company, are they offering you the possibility of a cruise? All right. And then this is our golden rewards. We started this for our anniversary. This provides every referral that we get from you, every inspection, you'll get a you'll get 10 points that you can either accumulate or you can use right away, and it's good at over 5,000 locations, including Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. Okay. If anybody has any questions on that, they can go ahead and ask, and we can wait until later. We're going to go through this. Please feel free to ask anything as we go. I don't mind stopping because it will initiate some other things that I might want to discuss or bring up to you from our experience with new home construction. All right, so the 4-phase inspection process for newly constructed homes. We're going to go over that, the benefits of it, the unique role that the realtors have to play in this new construction process, and then in conclusion, we'll go over some of the findings that are mostly found in during the inspections of new construction. So, okay. All right. So if I guess Ryan, if they have a question or something, they can reach out to you, or they can just unmute themselves and speak up. However you guys want to handle it, however you're used to handling it.
There's a function to raise their hand. I'll call on.
Okay.
I'll stop you and call on them, or if I see something good in the chat, I'll bring it up.
Got it. Okay, so here's the 4 phases of inspections. We can see in the upper left-hand corner, that's your pre-slab inspection. There's the benefits of being able to see a lot of things before the slab is poured. It's not a lot of, probably not the one that's chosen the most. Some people don't have an interest, but there are some really diligent type A personality people who want to be very involved in the building of the home. Maybe individually, if they get up to like 4, 5, 6, 7,000 square feet, they want to have more involvement in it. Now the home is worth a lot more. They don't mind going through that extra phase of the inspection. We have found issues with pre-slab inspections, so it's not unheard of. Pre-drywall inspections, this is probably one that you've heard mostly about besides the final. This is actually a really good time to see a lot of the components that are put into the building, a lot of the systems, and then your final inspection, your final walkthrough, which everybody's aware of, and your warranty inspection. All right, so we call the warranty inspection, even though it's a 1-year warranty, we call it 11-month warranty, 11-month inspection, because you want to do it well in time to be able to go back to the builder and have some sort of resolution for any issues that are found.
All right, Jim, we got a raised hand. Ann?
Yes.
Yes, I saw some new home, and a lot of builder don't let me do this kind of inspection unless maybe final inspection, maybe, but they had to ask the inspector send a lot of stuff to approve for the final. How can we do something like this for them to let the inspector to inspect 3 different phases like this?
Well, there's going to be, they hold a lot of control. One thing that you're probably going to want to be involved in is on the front end before any kind of signatures put on any kind of documentation, because at that point they have to let you know whether these inspections are allowed or not. And if that becomes that's when you have the power. That's when you can state that, hey, my buyer is very interested in having, this multi-phase inspection, or at least the pre-drywall inspection. We'd like to have that one as well as the final, and obviously the warranty. They're going to own the house. They can have any kind of inspection they want at that time. But if you bring that information up front, that's the most important time. That gives you more power to have that decision made from them. There are some builders right now that are not allowing any inspection until the final inspection. And there are some builders that aren't even allowing the final inspection. So they are waiting. Their statement is that they have a warranty of 1 year, and then any issues that can be found can be brought to their attention during that time.
So do you have any experience that the builder let you do this?
What we do these inspections. There are some builders that are more stringent on what they allow, and that is when you want to find out up front. When you have your buyers, you found a few homes in a couple of areas, and maybe a couple of different builders. That might be your only time of power is to state that we want to have this, we want to buy this home, we like this area. However, we want to have these inspections. We want to make sure that we can have these. Does that help? I mean, other than that, I mean, they wield it, the power, it's their house, they're building it. They can kind of control that. But I'm stating that the only time really that you might have a way to get around it is to force their hand and tell them that you're going to go with go in a different direction.
Yeah, most of the time I know they say no, but I don't know if you have the way around it.
Yeah. So it's going to be up to them. But again, like I said, it's going to be important to discuss that before you sign the initial contract.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then the final and the warranty inspection, we'll discuss all these in detail. All right, so your phase one is your pre-slab inspection. The objective is to ensure the site is properly constructed and prepared before the concrete is poured. All right, so you can see in the picture in the bottom right-hand side, you have the forms going up, and they have a lot of the rebar going through. That's going to control the strength of the concrete, make sure that it doesn't crack. What the inspectors are looking for is the site preparation, so the grading of the soil and the drainage to prevent any kind of water pooling, the layout of the foundation, the correct placement and dimensions. Now, before we do this inspection, we will ask for the blueprints of this, so that way we have something to compare to making sure that everything is being laid out correctly, that they actually have the washer and dryer hookups, not in the bathroom, but in the washer and dryer room, and the bathroom is in the correct area as well. And then the connections of the pipes underground and conduit. Also the reinforcement, the placement condition of the rebar, the mesh. This is going to be what ensures that your concrete is not going to move around. It's not going to have any kind of cracking, unusual cracking. Utilities, the proper installation of plumbing and electrical conduits. All right, so that's going to be your piping that goes underneath and maybe coming out in different areas of the home that the plumbing and or hooks up to, or the electrical wiring will go through to go to the correct locations. All right, so these issues, if not inspected, you can get cracks in your foundation and settlement issues. Water drainage problems. If there's not, the grading is not away from the home, then the water can continue to pool if it's not something that's noted. Usually they get that correct, but there have been occasions where one side of a home wasn't graded correctly, and the water would end up pooling next to the home. And then improperly placed utilities causing the future accessibility issues. So this is pretty. There's not a lot to look at, but there is. There's not, when you're looking at the whole home when it's built, we have all the different systems, all the different appliances, the flooring, the walls, the ceilings, everything to look at. But here, this is pretty important to making sure that all the stuff is put in the correct place. I do know of somebody that purchased a new home in Sorrento, in a very, very well-to-do area. I think it's called Redleaf or Red Lail.
Red Tag.
Yes, and an individual had to have the pipes connected from the different bathrooms didn't meet up correctly, and the home had to be the area where they should be connected had to be broken up. So the tile was taken off or broken, and the cement was broken down into to get to that to repair it. Okay, so there are things that can happen at that initial phase. That if that inspection had happened during then that could have been something resolved beforehand.
All right, Jim, we have Tammy.
So when you find a problem, are the builders, who deals with the builder, the agent, the customer, or you guys to tell them that you see these problems, and how, are they open to correcting them?
Yeah, well, they have to be. So if there's certain things that are just have to, I mean, at this phase right here that have to be fixed, and they would be, it wouldn't benefit them not to.
Who
Because it's just,
discusses that with them?
well, that would be, we're going to provide the report. Then usually at that time, the buyer has the ear of the builder, but the buyer can also request, or the builder can request a copy of the report, and they can also, ask for, have discussion with the inspector. However, whatever the inspector finds at this phase is going to be pretty blatant, and that's at this phase right here. There should be no issues with them going ahead and correcting what's been found. Okay, every builder is going to be different, and they're all going to handle things a little bit differently. Some people, even want to do the inspection, but they want to have some builders will say, yes, you can have the inspection, but we want a copy of the report at the same time as the buyer. And that's something that they can do as well. But there's many of them out there. There's many different areas. You have the main offices, a lot of them right here in Maitland, in Orlando, and then you actually have on site different directors overseeing the different areas. So they're managers. So now you'll have there's many layers, and we'll go into that because there's a lot involved in it. You have you have your buyer, you have the inspector. Your buyer is connected with an agent that's there acting as either kind of a realtor, but an in-house realtor, and then they have their people that they answer to, their manager, but they also have the people who are on site who are managing the overall building of the home, and then also who they're subcontracting out to.
All right, Vivian.
So don't the jurisdictions, like the municipalities and the counties, do a pre-slab and a pre-drywall?
They do, yes, they do, and it depends on the talent, the timing that they put into it. But there are, things that they miss as well. So it's government, and they may be running from one area to another area and overlook something. However, again, this is the reason why at this phase right here, if there's something found, it's going to be something that's going to be resolved, because they're going to be very happy that it was found before the slab went down, for sure. Once the slab goes down, it's still going to be, we're calling it out because it's going to be an issue. And if it's an issue before the slab, it's going to be a bigger repair after the slab. Okay. So these are the different views of the pre-slab. You can see up on top, those two right there with the rebar going on top before the slab's poured. On the bottom left, you can see the slab being poured, and then you can see on the bottom right where they've taken off the forms, and then you have all the you can see all the sides. Now, we did a home in Deltona, which the slab, the front of the house, the soil came to the top of the front of the house, but there's a lot more slab that showed on the backside, probably another 3 feet of porch. So it was a step off, and we've had issues where the slab wasn't poured correctly, the concrete wasn't made correctly, and there were pieces and chunks of the slab falling out of the slab itself, up on the top portion of the porch. And if we hadn't removed the 2x6 boards that were nailed to it, that were put up on it, we might not have seen that. So there's plenty of issues, just like anything in everybody's job. There's some people that do a great job, and they don't need a lot of oversight, but then there's some individuals that will take shortcuts. I mean, some of the things that we saw during COVID, we haven't seen again. So, but there are still definitely issues that are going on. All right, so your pre-drywall inspection, this is going to be your next phase. This objective is to the structural integrity in the systems before the walls are closed up. So what the inspections are looking for, they're going to be looking at the framing, the correct placement of the studs, the joists, in the rafters, making sure that everything is secure. There's no safety hazards. They're also going to be making sure that the wood is of a quality. During COVID, there were a very subpar lumber being used because of the deliveries were behind. The supply chain had really broken down during that period of time. So we've had some homes where they were all the lumber. I mean, you may see an occasional knot or two or some wood that's gotten by, but we were looking at a home that had 25 to 35% of the studs had knots in it, and they were the knots would sometimes tend to warp a little bit. So they probably were okay. And if this home had the drywall already placed atop of it, those studs, those faulty lumber would never have been found. Okay, so the electrical, you're making sure that they're using enough wiring, it's in the correct placement, and it's going to the right locations. Plumbing, they're going to making sure that you're checking the pipe installation, the fitting and the venting. At this point, we can see all the plumbing and making sure that it's vented out correctly. We'll be looking at the HVAC, proper installation of the ductwork and insulation. I can state that one time we had ductwork that was running over a doorway in a new construction home during COVID, and the two different the joints should have been connected, and they were not. So there was a gap of about 6 inches all the way around the pipe. That if it had been closed up, the drywall would have been put around it. That would have been something that would have been really difficult to see by walking through the attic. All right, and then that house would have been using probably 40 to 50% or higher additional electricity for the heating and the cooling of that home. Okay. Insulation, we want to make sure that so at this point in time, we're really looking at it prior to the installation, but they may have some of it started. Usually they have a hard time waiting. So making sure that we have the correct type in installation for energy efficiency. And then again, the issues, if they're not inspected, like I had stated, some of them, for the electrical issues, you want to make sure that there's nothing that can cause a fire hazard or malfunctioning system, plumbing leaks or door or poor drainage causing water damage, and then inefficient HVAC system leading to higher energy costs. Right, and I can state, I think at the end of this, there is a photo. We were doing a new construction when this was being put together, and there were the breakers in the bathroom were clicking off and they would not go back on. The GFCIs, which were all connected, and then found out that there was also a breaker in the electrical panel that was going off, not after you set it, but after 5 to 10 minutes later, then it would trigger off. So these are all things that you want to kind of look for at this phase as well as the final. So this is many pictures of the drywall. I mean of the framing and the pre-drywall. You can see the stairs going up. You can look at that, making sure that's all correct. You know, you can see up into the attic. You can see that the straps and the things, the gusset plates are holding the lumber in the correct place, like in the upper left-hand corner. You can see that your bathtub has been seated correctly, okay, in this instance. And, you know, all the outlets are where they need to be. So phase 3, this is usually, and not with all builders. This is the one that you're probably most accustomed to doing, is the final walkthrough. At this point here, you're not going to be able to see behind the walls any longer, and you're not going to be able to see under the slab. But the inspector can still perform an inspection here that can find a lot of things that are going, that could be going awry. They're looking at all aspects of the home, making sure everything is complete and it's up to standard before the closing. Looking for any kind of issues with the exterior siding, the roofing, the windows and doors. Again, I can go back to, I mean, you'd think that windows would not be an issue, but we've had some subpar windows that were being delivered during COVID as well. They were just loose within the area that they should have been. They weren't manufactured correctly. Again, supply chain for those. People were trying to either catch up, or they were sending stuff that they might not have passed prior to, and just getting rid of it. Also looking at the interior walls, ceilings, the flooring, all the cabinets and the fixtures. These are things that may not have been in during the pre-drywall inspection. And then the systems will be testing the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, and the appliances. This is all the same things that you'd have during a normal home inspection. And then we'd be looking for the safety, including the smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and then the escape routes, making sure that they're at the right heights and things of that sort. So issues, if not inspected, incomplete or substandard finishes affecting the aesthetic and functionality. Again, we're not really looking for, at this phase, we're not looking for any kind of blemishes in the paint, unless it's something that needs to be new drywall put into place, or new taping done, or new joint compounding done. We're not looking for anything like that. We're looking for those things that are going to be very expensive fixes, something $2,000 or higher. Okay. So non-functioning systems will be causing inconvenience and additional costs, and the safety hazards that could pose the risk to the occupants. Okay. All right, so again, we call this the 11-month warranty because we want to make sure that your buyer is having this done. They're notified, they're getting this provided before their 1 year is up. So you want to have ample enough time to, long enough time to catch things that might happen later, but enough time for them to have these issues addressed before the warranty runs out. Okay, so the objectives is to assess the home before the builder's warranty expires to address any issues. What they're looking for is, again, any kind of unusual foundation and structure, settlement, cracks, and structural integrity. They're looking for electrical, correct dimensions, any kind of issues that might have reared their ugly head since then. So they're basically going back through that same inspection again, checking all the breakers in the electrical panel, etc. Systems, do an operational check of the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, and the appliances. And then also looking at this point in time, the house has been there, it's been erected, it's had a roof covering on it. It's been almost a year. So we're looking for any kind of things that may not have been there during the home inspection, some sort of a moisture intrusion, leaks, drainage issues, and moisture damage. These would be coming, could be anywhere in the bathroom, coming from the roof, coming from any kind of plumbing, any kind of issues with the plumbing that weren't set correctly. And then general wear and tear, we're assessing any issues covered under the warranty that would be covered. Not looking for, you have your normal wear and tear, but there could be something additional that maybe isn't wearing correctly. Okay. HVAC systems can start to have some sort of an issue after 1 year. So, and they shouldn't be, average lifespan for them is 10 to 12 years, so there shouldn't be any sort of issue after 1 year. However, we are testing that, again, making sure that those things are operating correctly. So issues, if not inspected, you're going to miss the opportunity for the warranty for the builder to repair these issues. So if it's not done at that time, it also could lead to some costly repairs if they're not found. And then unaddressed wear and tear affecting longevity of the home. So there could be some issues of that sort that will maybe not very noticeable to your normal person, to a regular individual or a buyer or a homeowner at that point in time, but something that the inspector would be able to find. All right, so the benefits of the multi-phase inspection, well, for the buyers, especially if they're able to go through all the phases, they have peace of mind knowing that their home is thoroughly inspected at critical stages. Yes, Mr. Babar, we do commercial inspections as well. And then also early detection of issues leading to the timely resolutions, ensured quality and safety of their investment. So they're the ones that are going to get the best benefit out of this, out of anybody. The builder doesn't win, and then the agent has many different facets of this if they're involved with them, and then also the home inspector has many facets of this as well. All right, so the benefits of the multi-phase inspections for you, the realtors, You're going to get an enhanced reputation for recommending a comprehensive inspection services, reduced risk of issues leading to client dissatisfaction, better client relationship, and potential referrals. All right. So you can have, these referrals. You can state that, yes, I've done, you've done a few new home inspections. You can also learn from the process if you are involved with the pre-drywall or the pre-slab inspection. Usually you don't go out, but you'll have the report to look at. You've had this class to fall back on, so you can state that you have knowledge of these inspection phases, and that can go a long ways for one buyer in a subdivision to refer you out to another buyer on down the street or to a family member. So your different role as a realtor in new construction process and purchases. So you're going to be educating clients. You're going to be informing the buyers about the importance and the benefits of the multi-phase inspection. You're also going to be very heavily involved in the coordination, scheduling, and facilitating the inspections with the inspection company. This is a general thing for most home inspection companies. For us, we prefer that you just provide us with the information of the buyer's information, the builder contacts information, as well as the contact person at the site. And then we will take over from there, depending on what phases are needed to be done. But we'll automatically send out an email and we'll keep track of that calendar or that schedule. We know the times that we want to check in. Normally their time runs later, but however, they may be done with something a little bit earlier. Okay. They may have some issue with a house next door. That means that they spend more time on the house that you're buying. So we will manage that by sending out the email, and then we will have an email reminder to ourselves 10 days beforehand. Again, we'll send out another email checking in with the builder, checking on the status, checking on the dates, and making sure that we have something put aside already in advance. There's nothing worse than the builder calling you up 2 days ahead of time stating that it's all set and they want to go ahead and move forward with the drywall, and we need you to come inspect it today or tomorrow morning. So, and that does happen if it's not scheduled correctly or if the right company isn't taking care of the process. Okay, so advocacy. So you're going to be representing the client's interest in ensuring the builder accountability. The buyer is going to have a lot of involvement in that, and you're going to, it's going to depend on that individual. Some people may want to take the bull by the horn and really address it with the builder, but a lot of times it will be you involved with the builder and making sure that they're getting these things repaired. All right, support. You're helping the clients understand the inspection reports, of course, and then follow-up actions. And we're more than happy to help you with any of these right here as well. In fact, even if you provide, if your buyer chooses another home inspector and you have questions and you're looking for a second opinion, we are very, very happy to help you guys in anything and any time. We have some agents that have used us for 15 to 20 years. And they have buyers that they have referred out, and they haven't always chosen us, but however, when they've had issues or concerns, they know that they can come back to us and ask us for a second opinion on a finding from another home inspector. All right, so the 7 most commonly, and does anybody have any question right now? And just getting back actually too, because I probably should touch base a little bit on there. There's a lot of things that can happen during the process of the building that are a little bit outside the scope of any kind of normal sale. And those of you who've either had a home built yourself, there are scheduling issues sometimes with the builder. I know we inspected a home last year that was supposed to be done in less than a year. Actually took over 560 days. So it was a couple hundred days off schedule. So that really affected the move-in time, the move-out time for the home buyer. And then also things that can kind of come into play, interest rates, getting locked in. You're not usually, you might be getting that squared away at the initial time of the offer. I mean, on the purchase of or the signing of the agreement with the builder. But that interest rate can change, and particularly when we talk about that individual whose house was an extra 200 and something days. He went in on a lower interest rate, and then over that period of time, the interest rates were rising, and that definitely changed the look of the amount that his mortgage was going to be at the end of the year. So, all right, I got a question. What happens if the builder or seller decline those? Didn't get that all right there. Can you chime in? Couldn't see the whole thing.
Click on the box toward the bottom right that has a blue dot, and that shows you what text people wrote.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What happened when the builder or seller declined those issues as not correct in the inspection report you provide?
What happens if the builder or seller decline those issues as not? I mean, we're not going to change. If we've taken the time and energy to put it into the report, we're not crying wolf on anything that's going to affect the sale, especially for yourself. We find it to be an issue and a concern. So we're not going to change anything in the report or back away from that. At that point in time, it's going to be a decision from the home buyer and yourself on how you want to proceed with that, or even if you want to proceed. They do get you kind of over a barrel though, because you've put a down payment on there that you may not be able to get back any portion of the whole portion if you back out of it. All right, so you may need to get another person involved, which may be the county or town at that point in time, whoever's doing those inspections of the new construction for the county or for the town. That might be the avenue to go. Okay. So also getting back, when that time goes extra longer, like I said, the interest rates could have changed, could actually even maybe nix your buyer out of that market, or out of that purchase. They may not be able to get the same approval as they had before. So that's something to consider on the front end. Also, the builders have a lot of add-ins after the fact that your buyer may need to, that may be wanting to take advantage of. We call them upgrades. They can have upgrades in the quality of tiles, of the cabinetry, of different things in the bathroom. So there are upgrades that can be purchased. I know of an upgrade individually on the countertop in cabinetry was for an individual customer of ours was $25,000. And so, and again, the same home up in Sorrento. So those are things that are, you may need to be involved with. The buyer may work directly with the builder on that, but it's something to sit in and learn about and to kind of truly understand it, see how the process goes, and get experience with that as well. So there's a lot more things that are kind of different than your normal home purchase, or for your buyer, comparing to new construction. All right, so the 7 most commonly found defects detected during new construction inspections are going to be structural issues, premature cracking and distortions in the foundation walls. They can happen when builders overlook the proper curing time for the concrete. Maybe they've taken the forming walls off earlier than they should have. The wrong framing techniques, which might be invisible initially, can lead to crack formations in the wall. Okay. Obviously, roofing issues. Defective roofing is commonly seen in the new homes during the home inspection. Occasionally, shingles are found to be wrongly installed. Other roofing problems can lead to premature deterioration of the roof, including roof leaks, faulty no flashing, nail pops, and missing ventilation. The flashing is what's going to go between your horizontal and your vertical components of the home up on the roof area, say where there's a chimney coming up, if flashing's not put in the right spot right there, or put in correctly in a step fashion, then water can get behind there, then start a water intrusion issue. So, and then also I can say that we did find a home that had looked beautiful from the road, but when we went up on top and on the back side of the house, there were different brand of shingles being used in the middle of it. So they must have run out of shingles of that one lot number, and they used another shingle, and there was some different in coloration. So one was much darker than the other. However, the biggest issue is they didn't really mesh up correctly. And I'm not sure if you want to say it's the builder themselves not checking it out enough, or it was one of their subcontractors that they've used. I mean, I see subcontractors, getting people on a daily basis that are different people on a every single day, depending on what's available. So, there can be issues with even the quality of the shingles that are being used. So plumbing issues like leaks that shouldn't be ignored because they cause severe property damage, and they could obviously turn into mold issues that are dangerous to your health. Other plumbing defects observed include leaking fixtures, dripping faucets, slow or clogged drains, and more. Electrical issues. These defects are commonly found in homes, old or new. Should be considered serious because they can cause injuries, fires, or safety hazards. Some of the electrical concerns to watch out for: new home constructions are incorrectly wired outlets with reversed polarity, missing switch plates, and then there's always additional issues that can be found. Drainage issues. One of the most common defects seen in newly constructed is a poor drainage system. Insufficient flow of stormwater may mean that gutters should be needs to be reorganized. Drainage defects can cause a lot of damage to your yard and the house. So you should have both interior and exterior drainage systems inspected. Attic insulation. As new construction inspection will check your attic to see whether or not it's properly insulated. Excuse me, and there are no open spots that make the attic floor visible. With a properly insulated attic, your home will remain comfortable, healthy, and energy efficient throughout. And then incorrect grading is another common issue observed. Ideally, grading should slope away from the house to keep the home foundation dry. With proper grading, water tends to accumulate near the house. With improper grading, water accumulates near the house, and over time it penetrates the home. And this results in considerable property damage and expensive repairs. It's always better to detect those new construction defects before it's too late. Okay. All right, and then these are just some of the issues that we found. I mean, there's missing insulation in the upper left-hand corner, missing light cover, not really a big deal. Bottom right corner, that's a broken drain pipe. That's for the sewer, for the sewage. So that's going to a home that has public water and sewage. And this is the exact reason, one of the reasons that we're doing the multiple sewer drain inspections for that builder in Orlando. Like I said, 40% of those were not good. This inspection itself usually runs as a standalone without any other inspection at $399. We do these with our home inspection for $275 for new construction because they're harder to get the buyer to understand the need of these. We drop the price down to $199, and they're very important. So you can have a crack in a drain pipe, and it can be broken and could not show up during the home inspection because we're not sending the camera down the drain pipe. But what could happen over a period of time is you can have roots of the grass can grow through it. And start clogging that up, start occluding the pipe, as well as roots for trees as well, which can continue to make the pipe worse. And then eventually what's going to happen 3, 4, 5 years down the road on a new construction home, it's going to back up into the house. And now you're going to have a severe issue that's unsanitary, unhealthy, a much bigger repair. You get the opportunity for mold to develop, things of that sort. So again, 40% of drain pipes have had some sort of an issue. We've seen, in particular for this builder, they have a set of homes near SeaWorld, where it's an Airbnb or short-term rentals. That's what they plan on using them for, and they're having the rooms all decorated in different themes like Star Wars or for SeaWorld, whales, etc. And then you have the individual who's in the home doing these kind of upgrades to the walls, tearing down the tape, the paper, etc., and stuffing it down the toilets or wherever, and they're not fully exiting the drain pipe. All right, so multiple reasons. Also, you can have somebody drive over top of it with a heavy equipment, maybe to do some kind of other repair to get to another house, etc. Even after the solder goes down, issues can arise. So the tripping GFCI, tripping breaker, this is what I was mentioning to you earlier. These are some additional issues, but almost anything and everything that you see other than extensive wear and tear on a pre-existing home that's not new construction, you can find with new homes. Everyone thinks, well, my home is new and I'm buying a new home, so it's all new materials and the builder's building it, and they're building 1,500 to 2,000 to 5,000 of them this year, and there's not going to be an issue. Well, that's the problem. The builder's building 5,000 of them, and they're all same thing with everybody else. They're trying to reach goals or stretch goals. They're trying to get everything done by X amount of time. They have people who call out sick. They have people who are probably not qualified to be doing what they're doing. They have vendors that leave to go do something else, or you have vendors who have family issues or some other kind of personal issues that pull them away. So, somebody's buying a brand new house, they should be getting brand new construction and something of quality. So this is our again, our QR code. We would love to do an inspection for you. We provide excellent service in our office. So right from the very get-go, you will your buyer will be very, very pleased with our process and how we handle it. Everybody's trained in the office, and we don't miss a beat. And then the perks at the end of the inspection, nobody else offers those. Nobody offers the termites. That termite the pest control and the termite money you get back for each inspection, nobody else can do that because they're not a pest control company as well. Yes, Tammy.
What kind of termite treatment do you recommend? Because isn't there like a trenching one, and then there's like the little bait stations?
Yeah, so it depends on the situation. We are more leaning towards, if we went back like 5 years ago before we were able to sell Trelona bait stations, we would always recommend something that had live activity. We would recommend a trench and treat. All right, so that would be beneficial if you have live activity because the termites are still coming in and out of the ground. And when you do a trench and treat, you're doing it every 10 inches around the house. Okay. For the bait stations, they go every 10 feet, sometimes 20 feet apart. So for the termites to get to those bait stations or to come across them are going to take a little bit more time. So normally what the statement is that the bait stations may not be effective for up to 2 months later. So depending on your infestation issue, what the severity level of it is, that would help us determine which one to go with. If you don't have anything at all, we prefer to use the bait stations. It's less invasive. They're easier to maintain and watch over. Just keep in mind that the bait stations take care of subterranean termites only. Drywood termites do not cross through the ground, so they do not get, it's actually a termiticide is what they cross into. It's a virus for termites. Drywood termites don't go through the ground, so they can go to any home At any time, they will swarm. In fact, it's swarming season now. They'll swarm in through the gables, up through the soffits, any kind of areas that they can get into. Thus, the advantage that we always tell the buyers to having the bait stations or some sort of a treatment on the house. Yes, they'll get the what they call the bond, the protection plan, which will be ongoing. Ours is a lifetime. We give a lifetime warranty. But also that comes with that is going to be a termite inspection every single year. And different than what Massey and Truly Nolan and those individuals do right there, because they're in a big numbers game. They're doing thousands of these every year. We do a complete termite inspection. We do all around the exterior of the house, everywhere on the inside of the house. We go back up into the attic. We're looking for drywoods as well. The majority of the contracts are not going to cover drywood termites. Okay, so when those drywood termites are up in your attic, and your Massey or your Truly Nolan or your Orkin or whatever, they're not covering that drywood termites, so they really don't care if they're up there. Okay, that's the difference between us and them. And it'll state them in their contract. So you always look at the contract. There should be a consumer notification on the front end telling you everything to look for in the contract. And in the contract, there needs to be put information of whether it's for retreatment only, whether it's going to cover repairs, whether it covers subterranean Formosan termites, and then whether or not it covers drywood termites. Very seldom will you see somebody put into drywood, but there are some companies that will warranty it. But the odds of them happening into a home on a regular basis are pretty slim. But they're going to bring the renewal up high enough to cover that. So drywood termites, different animal. They could be either spot treated or fumigated. We will spot treat initially, unless it's a very old home with a crawl space or an attic where we feel like there's multiple colonies in there. Then we're going to recommend somebody else come in and do the fumigation, the tenting. So good question. Are you a person with an issue?
Pardon?
Do you have issue with termites now, or?
No, I've always wondered what's the better treatment, because it goes two ways. And I need to get a bond back on my house, but no, I don't have termites, and I didn't know anybody that does. I just never know what the best option is.
Okay.
All right.
So
go ahead.
I should make that decision based upon what they find during the inspection process. Okay.
All right, Daniel. You're on mute, Daniel.
Hello, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good
All
morning.
right. Good morning there. I'm glad to hear you. It's a good idea to hire you. I didn't know too much about constructions. I thought they had their own inspections. Look like what they do is they just give you a warranty and they just construct the house. And I guess at the end of the day, then they do the closing. Then the buyer finds out maybe he got some issues. But they don't have their own inspectors before anything.
They may, but it depends on, remember there's multiple builders out here and they all have different criteria that they're trying to meet. Some of them are, we say like Pulte Homes back in the day. Well, not that it was my day, but the saying used to be Mr. Pulte always wanted to have return clients. So he wanted to be somebody that would sell you your starter home, and then wanted to sell you your upgrade home when you started to get a family, and then wanted to help you downsize and sell your home when you go to downsize. As you know, the world's a little bit different these days. Everybody is really worried about the profit margin and how else they're going to be able to make money. So everybody has their different process. I can't state one against another. I know there's a couple of builders that are not allowing any inspection until the final walkthrough. Some of them are not allowing an inspection until the first time I found out about this was 2 years ago. I had a young girl, 25 years old, signed the agreement, hired us to do the inspection. And when we reached out, they said, "Oh, nope, she signed the agreement. She's not allowed to get an inspection."
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's a good idea to get you first, because I see you're more protected by doing it your way than, just going ahead and just getting the construction done, then inspecting the house.
Right. Definitely the pre-slab can probably it's probably okay. There are issues, if somebody's buying a house and they're paying, $1.5 million for a brand new build, then all those inspections make sense for them. You know, it's a larger square footage, you know, and so yeah. But
It's spot on time.
the pre-drywall is probably the best bang for the buck. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Everything
Because-
caught before they construct and finish up everything, and then find out that it has an issue. Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
see what your point is. Yeah, I agree with you. I like that.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Viv.
Oh gosh, I just froze. Oh, I represented a buyer a few years ago at a very high-end development. They were the second or third owners of a new construction home. They weren't the original buyers. Recently, they discovered there was a when you were talking earlier about how the pipes didn't match up from the different bathrooms in the house,
Mhm.
something similar occur, but it didn't even become an issue for them until several years later. They've been in that house a few years now, and again, they're not the first owners. Is there a recourse with the builder?
No. I mean, you can check with an attorney maybe or something of that sort. But I mean, after if it's before the 1-year warranty, then maybe it's something that can be transferred over. But I would think that after the 1-year warranty, that it's not going to be anything that's going to be able to go back to. Not even if you were the initial buyer. After your 1 year, you're gonna have a difficult time going back and getting any kind of resolution. I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. Those 2 or 3 sales happened after the 1-year warranty, correct?
Very likely. I don't have the exact history of the sales right now, but I want to say they're the second or third owners.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. Many times that we find an issue with a home in one area or one street, usually that issue is replicated across the board. You know, some of the same people are doing the same thing incorrectly.
So would there be strength in numbers at that point, or it's just
There
still-
might be if you had a class actions lawsuit or something like that. I mean, I have a transaction coordinator that we work with quite a bit for some realtors, and we did a sewer drain inspection for her after she had moved into the home, and it was just before the 1-year warranty, and then we found issue with it, and she passed our information on. We did 3 more individuals on the street, and 2 out of the 3 individuals had the same issue. So, you know, I think one thing you can explain to your buyers as well about getting the, additional inspections is if you compare it to an automobile, and I don't always like to compare apples to oranges, but if you compare it to an automobile and you look at how many times there's a recall on a car 2, 3, 4 years after the fact. Teslas have been recalled, Volkswagens have been recalled, and Toyotas have been recalled. And no matter what, in any kind of process, just because it's new doesn't mean it's perfect. Okay. Anybody else?
All right, guys. Any other questions for Jim? Jim's information is in the chat. He also gave you that QR code, but I pinned his information in the chat with his phone number. Jim, any other tips or anything on reaching you guys? I read quite a bit about your stuff you do. You do 7 days a week, no weekend charges, all that stuff.
Correct. So we are we'll travel just about anywhere. We have a $75 discount coupon in all the rack cards that are in your office in Oviedo, Orlando on Technology Boulevard. And look for the candy bowl. You'll see the rack cards inside there. I just tend to say that our staff is really, really good. Our inspectors are great. I expect every inspector to be great out there, but ours are trained for at least 200 to 300 inspections from somebody experienced before they're even able to do a single family home on one floor. I don't know if you guys know that a regular home inspector in the state of Florida can take a 120-hour course, a 2-hour test, and then they are now a licensed home inspector. They can go out and do a home inspection, but never ever performed a home inspection before in their life. All right, everything was in the book. So, and then also, Ryan, if you guys, I mean, if I know you guys have several offices around Florida, we are more than happy to put something together for everybody at a maybe a good location, provide a meal, and I have 4 CE classes that would really be beneficial for everybody. We can do a lunch and learn or a breakfast and learn. I can do them at separate locations as well. However, you know, whatever you guys are interested in. But we're all about getting our information out about us, but also giving the correct information out about the different facets of the inspection side. So including the insurance inspections, the termite, mold, and then the home. So appreciate everybody coming.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Be safe.
Take care, man. All right, guys. Any questions for me before we go?
Yes, can I have please the cellular number for Jim?
I don't have a cell number. I have that number that's pinned in here, 407-221-7536. It's in the chat.
Yeah, I wish I could talk to him. He just left so fast. Wow.
He'll answer his phone. I talked to him yesterday. I called that number and asked for him. Just hit 1 and then ask for him.
So if I'm gonna do a small construction now, like a small project, so I can call him to inspect the frame, whatever I want, right?
Yep.
He can see by code everything.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
They do thermal stuff. They do all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
Yep. All right. Tammy has a hand up. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I have a listing and it's priced really, really low, but the seller and I discussed that and they're aware of that because they needed a quick sale. Well, she told me that an agent called her because I guess he sold her the house and said, do you know that the house is priced really low below market value and blah, blah, blah. And is that okay for him to do that?
No.
I know. I was like, that is so unethical.
Yep. Call him out on it, please. Talk to his broker.
I think he called me today and he's putting an offer in, but I was like,
nope, absolutely none of your business. And that's why you don't do stuff like that. You never know what other people have discussed and what their motivations are. But no, he put his hand in the cookie jar. He needs to be smacked for it.
Exactly.
That is completely unethical. Don't you guys ever do that.
Yeah.
Keep your opinions to yourself. You think it's such a great deal, buy it and shut your mouth.
Exactly.
Put
So-
this offer, Tammy. You guys should counter some outrageous.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I'm going to have multiple offers, which is exciting. So.
All right, so let me tell you guys about a quick story. So a buddy of mine is a yard guy, has been for years. He's got tons of clients, and he had this older guy who wanted to sell his house that is also it sits on about 2 acres on Johns Lake in like the Oakland Winter Garden area. And he told me, hey, this guy will sell his house. He only wants like $375 for it, and it's got a lakefront lot you could split off. It's like 6 lots put together. So he told me about that, and I said, well, you know, I can't buy it from that guy for $375 because I'm a licensed, you know, it's a great project, but I'm a licensed agent. I can't. That's, you know, taking, especially the guy who's 80 years old, you know, so in his 80s. I said, well, you know, you can have, you know, our friend. I recommended a friend who has some money to do something like that, and he said, okay. Well, turns out the guy ends up listing it with his son's friend or whatever for $375, and my other buddy who I'd sent to him ended up buying it, and it's worth it. I mean, it's once you split it up and do, you know, $25,000 worth of legal work and easements and stuff, it's worth you know, $800,000-$900,000 now, because you split off the lakefront lot for $500,000 and the house is worth, you know, $400,000. So that's what he's done. And I told him, well, once it got listed, I could have done it, but I can't do it if it's not listed. So once they list it with somebody, like your example, the guy just wanted, he was older guy, only wanted X amount of money, and somebody came in and told him, yeah, if you don't do anything to this house, it's worth, $375. So anyway, you can't get involved in that, but I couldn't get involved in that house until it was listed. But once it's listed, you can buy it, right?
Can you explain, I'm sorry, Ryan, again, why could you not get involved?
Because you can't, that's unethical for you to, it looks unethical. Even if you say I could have gone to the guy and have him write something that says, I know this property is worth a lot more than this. I just want to sell it for this amount.
Okay.
But I didn't think the guy would do that. And I wouldn't feel right about that. So,
Okay.
But you can't do it as an agent. You can't, it looks very bad, especially if someone's elderly or something like that. Just adds to it, more aggravated.
But once it's listed on
buy
the
something
market,
below market. Like if Tammy had gone to these people and known that their house was worth $700,000 and told them it was worth $450 and she'll buy it but she'll pay $475 for it, that would be taking advantage. That's a professional taking advantage of a layperson.
okay. So, but once it's listed,
Once it's listed, then somebody else has taken advantage of them, or hasn't, or just listed it for whatever they want it listed for. Maybe they worked like Tammy's client. You don't know why someone listed something below.
Correct.
But do you think he thought I took advantage of them? Do you think that's why he was calling? Or do you think he was mad because he didn't get the listing? And
probably both. Probably concerned that you took advantage of them is what he's telling himself right now. If you ask him,
I mean, it had been listed for $315, then $299. So, and the $295 or something, and it had sat there for a long
What'd
time.
you end up listing it for?
$270, but it might go higher.
Right. And
I mean, it was hard to figure out. She was needing to sell the house, and so I'm trying to hear what she's saying and figure out a price. And it's in Sola Vita.
You can't get stuck on.
There's 165 houses for sale in there.
You can't get stuck on CMAs. There's more to life than CMAs. Life doesn't happen in a vacuum. We don't just do CMAs. People have reasons why just like you have reasons why do people list properties, and let's say an investment property that's worth $200,000 and they put it on the market for $250 and it sits there for 782 days. Why? They just like to have their property on the market. They don't think it's worth that. You've had clients to tell you that before. Just put it on the market.
I was referred, this girl found me from Ohio, and she referred the people to me. So I drove down there like the day they called me, and I called her. I'm like, I don't want this listing. I said, it's not going to sell. It's, blah, 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 blah. And the pictures were horrible from the other agent. And then when the lady said, I need to get rid of this, and we priced it at that really reasonably priced, and we've got multiple offers, I was like, oh, I'm so happy I took this listing. But initially I really didn't want it. There's 165 houses for sale in there. And she's like, how soon do you think you can get this sold?
And that's another thing too. It's competition. That's why I tell you guys, when you're doing your CMA, you do your CMA as your CMA. But when you do your pricing, if there's nothing else for sale in a nice neighborhood that people want, jack it up a little bit.
Right.
If there's 165 listings down the street, then lower it if you want to move it. Otherwise, explain to them it's just going to sit here. We got the same thing 165 other people have. So if we want to lower it, $5 or $10,000 to get people a little bit excited about it, get to the top of that list, which is what we're going to have to do. Sometimes things that are worth this cell phone is worth a certain amount. If you don't have one, it's worth a lot more than if you have 3 of them, right? So that's the case. Like when you go into for a sales job and they say, sell me this pen. Well, if you already have a pen, it's going to be hard to get more than $1 for it, right? But if they're trying to sign $1 million contract and they don't have a pen, it's worth $100 at least, right? Maybe more. So there's a lot of factors that go on, and people wanting to sell their house immediately because they want to go somewhere, like the elderly gentleman who sold his house because he's in a home now. He had to get out of town, and he also needed somebody that would buy it and let him stay there for 4 months. So that's what he wanted to do, and that's what he did. And he's happy as can be with it. He still talks to the guy who bought it and gives him all the information about the utilities and all this stuff, and still talks to him. And now, he wanted a friend too. So they got all that. Any other questions?
I do. Is anybody in this group familiar with vacant land at East Pine Acres in East Orlando area? By 32828. Anybody familiar with that area? East Pine Acres. No. Okay.
No.
Is it over off of Curry Ford?
That's by Alafaya area. Alafaya Trails are close to Avalon Park.
What do you need to know?
I need to know about anybody that have done any deals out there. There's a couple of lots that I've been looking at, and one of them says that it needs a well and it needs septic and all that, and maybe that's why maybe it's priced the way it is. I was just wondering if anybody had any clients out there that have built in that location.
I don't know. Guys, we have a couple of open houses that you guys can work. I know some of you have. I know we've talked about it during our goal setting. But there's open houses coming up. There's one for next weekend I know of, condo in Altamont. There's one this weekend that Maria and Patricia are looking for someone to work. I'll get you guys the information. I'll have it on Facebook, our Facebook group. If you haven't joined that, make sure that you do. And if there's no other questions, we'll get going.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys got something good out of today. Yes, Vivian.
Yeah, I would like to make an appointment with you in the office. I would like to know the day and time I can go there to meet you.
All right. How about tomorrow afternoon?
One moment, okay? Can be
Just email me.
Friday. No, let's do now. Can
Okay.
be tomorrow. I have 2 appointments, so can be 1 moment. Can be Friday or no?
Not Friday. It can be Monday or Tuesday.
Wow. Okay. So tomorrow, unless I can say, what time of tomorrow would be? Just in the afternoon.
But we can do it by Zoom if you want.
Yeah. What time? No, I prefer go to the office.
Oh.
So what time?
Tomorrow? I don't know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Let's do tomorrow. 12. No good, right? 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock sounds good.
Okay. So I see you tomorrow there. One.
All right.
Thank you.
Again. All right.
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything? All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully you learned something here today, and hopefully these forms are coming out soon, and we'll get discussing those as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Mhm.